Roberto De Zerbi, favourite to replace Erik ten Hag if Ineos decide to sack him this summer. Manchester United set to make an approach for Benjamin Sesko, and will Jeremy Frimpong end up at United? These are some of the topics we will be discussing on the show this evening. But before we jump into that, please smash a like on today's video, subscribe to the channel if this is your first time watching, and let's get straight on into it. So as always on Daily Red Devil, I like to start the show off with some positivity. And the story I have for you this evening is that apparently Kobbie Mainoo is on the brink of signing a new contract at Manchester United. So this is coming out from Fabrizio Romano. He says that Ineos want Kobbie Mainoo to be one of the faces of the new project at Manchester United and are pushing in talks to extend his contract this summer after initial discussions in February. Now, people are probably thinking, why are we dishing out new contracts? You know, Kobbie Mainoo's only on about 10, 20 grand a week at the moment, okay? He's only just got his first professional contract, and he's played almost every game in the Premier League for us for the last kind of 5 or 6 months. So he 100% deserves a new contract. He 100% deserves to be paid accordingly for the effort he's been putting in this team. He's a first team player for us now. He starts pretty much every single game. He probably is our best midfielder, bar Bruno Fernandes. Eriksen's legs have gone. Casemiro's legs have gone. Donny van de Beek, don't even get me started on him. Scott McTominay, don't get me started on him. And Amrabat, don't get me started on him. Like, he probably is our best midfielder after Bruno, you know? I genuinely think that. So for him to only be on around 10 or 20,000 pounds at the moment, yes, I know he's still young. Yes, I know it's only his first breakout season. But when you see people like Christian Eriksen getting paid 150 grand a week to sit on the bench, and then you've got Kobbie Mainoo, 18 years of age, already in the England squad, already putting in incredible performances against Liverpool and other top teams, he 100% deserves to be rewarded. And I want him to be here for the next 10 years. I want him to be the face of Manchester United. I want us to be sat here in 3 or 4 years' time saying that Kobbie Mainoo is one of the best players in the world. Now, maybe I'm getting too ahead of myself, but the point I'm trying to make here is we should reward him for the effort he's put in so far. He's done incredibly this season. If it wasn't for Cole Palmer, I would probably say he would be voted the Young Player of the Season. I imagine Cole Palmer will win Young Player of the Season, maybe even Player of the Season as well. But take aside Cole Palmer, I imagine Kobbie Mainoo would be strongly up there in the running for Premier League Young Player of the Season. So I love the kid. I think he's quality, and I can't wait to see how he develops in the coming years. So that's your bit of positivity to start the show with, as I always like to do. Let's move over to some talk about the manager, because I know people get bored of it, but it's the big topic at the moment. Everybody's talking about the manager. It's, you know, every single journalist in world football is talking about this at the moment. And obviously on this channel, we talk about the news, we bring you the news, we digest it, and we discuss it as a community. So the story coming out this evening is that apparently early suggestions point towards Brighton manager Roberto De Zerbi being Ineos' favourite choice to become the new Manchester United manager if they decide to sack Erik ten Hag this season. Now, I don't particularly want De Zerbi, but I think he's better than Southgate, and I think he's better than Potter. But what I will immediately say about this De Zerbi story is, right, I don't think it adds up, because he has a release clause at Brighton, which I believe is around 20 million euros. Let me double check. Robert De Zerbi release clause. He has got, there you go, yeah. So it's 12 million pounds or about 20 million euros. So if we were to go and get De Zerbi from Brighton now, we would have to give them 12 million pounds. Okay? To remove Erik ten Hag, plus you've got to remove Mitchell van der Gaag, Steve McLaren, Benny McCarthy, all of his backroom staff, is going to cost us around 10 million pounds. That's if we did it in the summer. So if you had 10 million pounds to remove Erik and all of his staff, plus then 12 million pounds just to allow Brighton to let us speak to De Zerbi, plus then you've got to pay all of De Zerbi's staff as well and all the rest of it. Like, I would say it's going to cost anywhere between 22 and 25 million pounds cash to bring in De Zerbi and remove Erik ten Hag. And I just don't think that Man United, who aren't going to be in the Champions League this season, we might not even be in the Europa League, although I'm going to talk about that in a minute, because I worked something out earlier on today which actually blew my mind a little bit. So let me save that for you in a minute. But yeah, I just don't think it's feasible at the moment. I think if I'm Ineos, I would be sat there saying we could pay 25 million pounds, give or take, to bring in De Zerbi, who's not ever won a single trophy in his career, I don't think. I might be mistaken there, but as far as I can remember, he might have won one at Shakhtar Donetsk, actually. But the point I'm trying to make is he's won nowhere near as many trophies as Erik ten Hag did. He's won two trophies in his career. He won the Ukrainian Super Cup with Shakhtar Donetsk, and he won the Italian Cup in Serie C, which is the third division of Italian football. He's 44 years of age. So, I mean, when you compare that to what Erik ten Hag's won, I know people will say, oh, it's the Dutch league, but, you know, Robert De Zerbi's won the FA Cup in the Ukrainian league and also won the third tier of of Italian football. Like, that's not very good. Whereas you look at Erik ten Hag in a managerial capacity, he obviously won the League Cup last season. He won the Dutch League title 3 times. He won the Dutch FA Cup twice. He won the Dutch Super Cup. He's won like 7 or 8 trophies in a relatively short space of time. So if you can genuinely sit there and tell me you'd want to spend £25 million of our summer budget when we may only have about 100 in total to bring in a manager who's achieved way less than Erik ten Hag, like, I'm not up for it. I just don't think it makes sense. And I don't think Ineos will be stupid enough to do it. So I think this is just rubbish, to be honest. I'm not into that story. Then you've got a story coming out from Ben Jacobs, who says Ten Hag is not worried at this point that Man United are actively recruiting a new manager. He says Erik ten Hag's job is safe for now, and United are hoping it works with Ten Hag. I think that's good. I think that's the right thing, that, you know, his job is safe for now. And the one thing I wanted to bring out, right, which I think is actually going to put a smile on a bit of some of your faces. Now, I know people are going to say, like, it's embarrassing that we're even talking about this, but this is where we are. But I was reading something earlier on today, okay? So the winner of the FA Cup gets Europa League football, right? I imagine Man City will beat Chelsea and it will be Man United versus Man City in the final, okay? I would be very surprised if Chelsea beat Man City, but let's just say hypothetically, Man City go and beat Chelsea, we beat Coventry on Sunday, it would be Man United versus Man City in the final, right? Now, if the club who win the FA Cup have already qualified for the Champions League, which Man City obviously will have, then the runners-up in the FA Cup will get Europa League football. So the point I'm trying to make here is, right, if we beat Coventry on Sunday, we've effectively got Europa League football then, guaranteed. Because Man City, even if we lose to Man City in the FA Cup final, they would get the Champions League football and we would get the Europa League football. Does that make sense? So I think that actually does help Erik ten Hag massively, because we're not going to get Champions League football, but we only have to beat Coventry on Sunday and then we would get Europa League football, if that makes sense. So yeah, I think that does give him a bit of credit in the bank, to be honest, with Ineos, because they're looking at it thinking we're going to get European football as long as we beat Coventry. That's why I said on the show this morning, if we were to lose to Coventry, I think that would be almost impossible for Erik ten Hag to come back from that, to be honest, because that game has so much importance. Obviously, Coventry are a championship level side, and as I just said, us winning that game will effectively get us Europa League football, which is, you know, has to be the minimum expectation at this point. But yeah, I only found this out earlier on today. I was reading it on the somewhere on the internet, that's what happens if you with the FA Cup winner, blah blah blah. So yeah, that's good to know. Yeah, a little bit more quickly from Ben Jacobs. He says at the moment it's just succession planning. So Ineos aren't actively looking for a new manager for now. They're looking for a new manager for the future potentially. And it says that Ten Hag has no guarantees, but his fate is in his own hands. So effectively, you know, if the last 7 or 8 games of the season, you know, he does well, he'll stay. If he doesn't, he'll go. That's the black and white of it. So that makes sense. Moving on to Benjamin Sesko. Again, this is coming up from Ben Jacobs, saying that apparently Man United are going to target Benjamin Sesko this summer. I like Benjamin Sesko. I think he's a quality player. I think him alongside Rasmus Højlund, sorry. I think him alongside Rasmus Højlund would be really exciting. 20 years of age. He's had a good season so far in the Bundesliga. He's available for apparently around 40 million euros release clause. I would go and do that without even a blink of an eye. I think for 40 million euros, it would be a quality signing. But let me know in the comment section, guys. Would you like to see Benjamin Sesko come to Manchester United? Obviously, Anthony Martial will be leaving the club. That's been confirmed. Obviously, his contract expires and we need a new striker. So we will 100% sign a new striker. Let me know who you think that should be in the comment section below. Quickly on Casemiro as well. we've got a story coming out this evening saying that Saudi deal makers are looking at Casemiro. It says the feeling is Al Hilal might be in the mix to buy him this summer. However, it is not yet clear whether Casemiro wants to go to Saudi. I mean, being completely honest, having watched Casemiro this season, he's playing like a player who should be playing in the Saudi league. I'm sorry. I don't mean to disrespect the guy, but he's not of the level of a Premier League team anymore. He's not of the level of a team who are even playing in Europe in any capacity, I don't think. So Casemiro, I was excited when you came. It's incredible to have seen a player like that, a legend, one of the best CDMs in my kind of lifetime. But it is time for you to go, mate. So thank you. But yeah, goodbye. But maybe you disagree. Maybe you think Casemiro should stay. But for me, it's a definite no. Goodbye, Casemiro. Bye-bye. But anyway, I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. Thank you so much for joining me on the show this evening. If you have enjoyed today's video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. It doesn't cost you any money. It's completely free. It really helps the channel. So please go and do that. This has been Daily Red Devil. I'll be back at 11 a.m. UK time tomorrow. Have a great evening, everybody. I'll speak to you all a bit later.